Simpson here at the conference office moderating today's call. And before we begin with our coaches, it's time to pass along some news and notes as we recap Week 4 and highlight and preview Week 5 of Big South football. First, we'll begin with our Players of the Week from this past Saturday. Our Choice Hotels Offensive Player of the Week was Juwan Blount, running back from Gardner-Webb. The Big South Defensive Player of the Week and also the National Defensive Player of the Week by the Sports Network, Gardner-Webb nose guard O.J. Mao. The Special Teams Player of the Week for the second consecutive week was a game-winning field goal, Gardner-Webb kicker Jordan Day. And the Crons Brand Freshman of the Week, Charleston Southern running back Ben Robinson. So congratulations to those individuals for their performances this past weekend. Before we get with our coaches, some other notes to pass along. First, the Big South is now 12-3 against FCS opponents, extending the league's best start ever against FCS competition. Gardner-Webb became the first Big South team in history to defeat nationally ranked opponents in consecutive weeks this past weekend. Charleston Southern and Coastal Carolina both 4-0, and now the Big South is currently the only FCS conference with two 4-0 teams. Coastal Carolina became the first Big South team in league history with back-to-back 50-point games against non-conference FCS foes. With its 50 points against Hampton and 2 weeks ago, 51 against from Kentucky. Charleston Southern has won 3 of its 4 games on the road. Coastal Carolina set the Big South single-game record with 27 rushing first downs against Hampton. Charleston Southern has rushed for more than 200 yards in consecutive games against non-league FCS opponents. First time they've done that as Big South members. Moving into the top 25, Gardner-Webb at number 25 in the Sports Network poll, giving the Big South 2 ranked teams in the same week for the 3rd straight year, but it is the earliest the conference has ever had 2 teams ranked at the same time in the top 25. And the last thing to pass along, the Big South will utilize instant replay for its remaining TV games, starting with this Saturday's Charlotte at Presbyterian College game on ESPN3 at 2 o'clock p.m. from Clinton. The conference moving forward, the 3rd FCS conference to utilize replay for its television games, with the first game this Saturday and the remaining TV games that the conference will be producing on ESPN3 later this year. And we'll talk more about that a little later, but with that, we'll move into our first coach, the head coach of the Gardner-Webb Roman Bulldogs, Carroll McCray. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Mark.
Congratulations to you and the squad for another win over a ranked team, the 3rd win by a Big South member over a ranked team this year, most in league history. If you can talk about the 3-0 win over Wofford, I know it was a downpour. Home this Saturday against Point. But let's hear about the Wofford game, and then we'll move on to your opponent.
Okay, well, thank you for the chance to speak about our team. We certainly this past Saturday, it was a game of missed opportunities for both sides, and the weather was certainly a factor in the ball game. Ended up that the ball bounced our way just a little more than it did theirs, and our kids were able to make some plays to secure the game. And as you said, 3-0, but it was very hard in the kicking game to handle the ball, and even center quarterback exchange became a real issue. I don't think it stopped from the time we arrived a little before the ball game until the end of the game as far as the rain. But our kids hung in there defensively. We continued to make some plays and force a few issues that gave our offense the ball back in pretty good field position at times. We were pretty good tacklers on defense on Saturday, and which was really helpful against Wofford's high-powered option attack. And then, although we did not do well putting the ball in the end zone, we were able to run the football a little bit better, which is something we really need to continue to work on if we're going to have success this year. Lyman did a little bit better putting hats in the right spot, and Juwan Blount was able to carry the ball enough to eat up some clock. And I think one of our goals for the week was to try to keep our offense on the field and keep Wofford off the field because of the way they execute, and that was a positive for our offensive team. We did not. We fumbled going in, on the 12-yard line, I think it was, and then we had an opportunity very close inside the 5, which we thought we had scored a touchdown, and then got called for a penalty and got moved back. So we had 2 scores in the game called back for penalties, so that's certainly something we have to work on to correct with our football team. But Wofford, I think, is a fine team, and I was proud of the way our guys fought the whole game and were able to pull that thing off. And we played with a lot of energy and were able to finish things. And we did have some guys really step up, make a lot of plays. You know, you mentioned Juwan and OJ, and then, of course, Jordan came through with the only score of the game, so we were grateful. He found enough non-puddles to be able to get the one kick through. This week, Point University coming in here. Glad to be playing back home. They're 2-1. Coach Rocker certainly is doing a good job as they start their program. And, I think the great issue for us is to really work on our fundamentals, improve our football team. That's been our focus for the first month. I think it's mandatory this week that we have a really physical week of practice, that we work on fundamentals from the quarterback spot to the lineman to the D-line to the safeties, and try to improve our football team with great practice during the week and see if we can keep our focus on what we need to do to not let the running Bulldogs beat us. Certainly, there's been several times we've been our own worst enemy, and we have to get some things corrected so that we can try to take a step forward. If not, there's really going to be some issues for us in the next couple of weeks. So we're certainly have a whole lot of work to do with our football team, but I do think our work attitude is getting a little bit better as we grow together in this first year's program.
Thank you, Coach. At this time, we'll take questions for Gardner-Webb head coach Carroll McCray. To ask a question, please press star 1 on your phone at any time, or click the Q&A link near the top of your browser and click raise hand if you joined us via the web. Questions for Gardner-Webb head coach Carroll McCray. And, Coach, first question for you is from Matthew Clark of the Daily Courier.
Okay.
Coach, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
We talked a little bit about this after Saturday night's win, but I kind of want to expand on it a little bit. You know, you've had 2 back-to-back games that are very emotional, very physical. You beat 2 nationally ranked opponents in back-to-back weeks, which is a great accomplishment. You go into this week, you're facing an NAIA opponent that is getting its football program started. You know, talk about any concerns you might have of maybe overlooking them as you look ahead. You've got Charlotte the following week.
Right.
Is there any thoughts of trying to, overcome the mindset of looking past a team like Point?
Well, I certainly think all coaches realize that human nature can be a bad thing for your football team, and we had a big family meeting on Sunday about our deficiencies and what we really need to work on. And I think if our team looks at our past month, I think starting with Furman, we were a 3-touchdown underdog, and we were a 24-point underdog and a 22-point underdog the last 2 weeks. So if we start looking at things that maybe fans look at or outside people look at, it's going to be a detriment to our team. What we need to do is work on getting our football team better. We have a long way to go at each position to try to be the best that we can be. We're certainly not playing to our potential, and that's going to be a great challenge for the coaches and the players, but that's our challenge every week. So our focus goes on Gardner-Webb. Our focus goes on trying to get our football team better, and we know every 6th or 7th day another team's going to show up, but we got to make sure that we correct our team and work extremely hard to be a true football team and get all the individuals out of it and make sure we're all playing together with one cause and one purpose.
Talk a little bit more about Point. I mean, again, it's a starting football program. It's a school.
Yes,
last year you had Mid-America Nazarene that came in, and you guys were favored heavy, and Mid-America Nazarene played very well coming out of Kansas.
Yep, that's what I heard.
So, talk about trying to prepare after 2 emotional wins, trying to prepare to come back home and face the team.
Well, we like playing at home, so we're excited about playing in front of our home crowd. I think the young men that played last year against Mid-American Nazarene realized that there was a great play at the end of the ball game, or they would not have won that game here at our stadium. I think, if you look at the video and look at the players that Coach Rocker has that could play for the Gardner Webb Bulldogs, they certainly have some guys that could help us win. They have 19 junior college or transfers from other colleges on their football team. So I think, we got a 2-1 record, and Coach Rocker is certainly going to do it the right way. I mean, you can see his DNA throughout their football team. They're solid. They have a plan. The games that I've seen, the plan has been the same every week. They line up in the eye and give it to a really nice-looking tailback, and defensively they chase the ball down. So I think we better make sure we're ready to go, and I think we better make sure we get better this week if we want to play well in front of our home crowd on Saturday.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. And we still have time for a couple more questions for Coach McCray. Please press *1 on your phone at any time, or click the Q&A link near the top of your browser and click raise hand. Coach, I'll throw this one out at you. Running Bulldogs up to number 25 in the national polls. How did you address your team about that accomplishment, and moving forward, how do you use that to keep your team grounded per se?
Well, to tell you the truth, I think all that happened yesterday afternoon, and we had individual meetings this morning, but I've not really seen the team together. So we're going to address that before we start practice. And my thoughts on that are, congratulations to our university. Anytime we are able to get recognition for our school and our football program, we're honored and in great humility to have that. At the same time, you really don't get a bunch of points for where you are after 4 weeks. We got to improve. Really have a lot of players that have a lot of improvement they have to do for us to be a better football team. So our focus is going to be on our guys. We are going to talk to them, and I'm excited for our players that they get the opportunity to represent our university in that way. But right now it doesn't mean near as much as it would mean if we can get better, and that would be something that we could look toward at the end of the season.
Thank you, Coach. And I'm not seeing any more questions for you, so we'll let you go. But,
thanks, Mark.
Thanks for joining us, and good luck Saturday against Point.
Thank you. Appreciate it, and wish best of luck to all the Big South teams this week. Y'all have a good week. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Coach.